Steven, I think they're ready for us. You ready?
Yeah.
So, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode. We got next. I'm one of your hosts of the show, Hayes, aka AO Shifty, with the one, the only Steven at Steven_Springs. There's so much to talk about within the NFL, college football, the NBA, things that happen even in the SEC, which I don't know how that happened before I got on earlier today. But we'll kind of start off with the main acts and just start from there. So, of course, make sure you still tune into what we're going to talk about in terms of college football and the different Power Five conferences that are out there. Saying goodbye to the Pac-12 is another thing we'll talk about on the show. On Mondays and Fridays, I will be doing the spaces in terms of crypto stuff. And then hopefully 2 days during the week, I will either do fantasy football or sports betting stuff and kind of like go deeper. We will talk about it on here, but then I will end up spending the whole time just talking about either different teams, doing power rankings and stuff early on for fantasy football so that when we end up talking in terms of NFL and fantasy football next year, we're already like 2 steps ahead. If anyone wants to know how we did last week, we went 4-3 in terms of sports betting. Some things were stupid, aka the
You bet last
Buccaneers.
night?
I did. You probably know who I bet on. So everything went great, but the one thing, the Washington losing, I bet overs on Adunze, on Michael Penix, Blake Corum.
Yeah,
Washington just
not
couldn't
that
get it
not
done.
that I'm so I took Washington plus 5.5 and I took
Uh-huh.
the under. But I did a parlay. So, I thought about just doing the under because I was more confident in that, but I got greedy with it. Not that I'm having a third kid, but if I ever did, I would name him Roma Dunze Springer.
See,
That's one of the smoothest names in sports, I think, that no one's talking about. Roma Dunze. It just
yeah,
like the first not it's not Roman Adunze. I think it being
no,
Rome makes it so much better.
yeah,
Like Roma Dunze, it just boom. It just rolls right off the tongue. I love it. Great name. Great name.
yeah.
Anyway.
So Buccaneers, I had them scoring over 21 points. They couldn't even score 10. And when we get into the wild card, you will know damn well who I'm picking if they can't even score 10 points against the Panthers. But the other thing, we want to just dive into the hot take. So there's two different hot takes. We're going to start with college football, then we go into the NFL. So for college football, as anyone probably knows, if you watched the game yesterday, Washington and Michigan came on, and it was good. Someone got first off, I do not believe the viewership numbers. I think a lot of these damn viewership numbers are skewed because how the hell every single year it's higher than the year before? There's like no way that it's always higher. And one, in my personal opinion, I don't think this year should have been the highest because it wasn't like those high profile player names that people would have necessarily wanted to see. The only thing they wanted to see was can Michigan finally lose?
So I kind of disagree with that because I think
Okay.
of the whole Michigan storyline. I think I think kind of like the past. Uh, your voice microphone is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it was kind of like the Pats were like when the Pats win the Super Bowl, only the people in New England wanted them to win. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like even if it's not your team, like when Georgia was in it last couple of years, like I was probably picking Georgia. Like I don't really care if it's Ohio State. Obviously not gonna pick them, but like for Michigan, people wanted to see them lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you live in like the confines of Ann Arbor. Shout out to Ann Arbor, great place.
Shout
But
out.
like the people up in New England, they're the only ones that want the Pats to win. Everybody else, no matter if you like hated the other team, I don't like the Eagles that much. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh guy. I don't really like. I have nothing. I don't hate them, but like it's Philly, so I don't really like them. But I was picking the Eagles. I was rooting hard for the Eagles to beat the Pats. So shout out to
Mm-hmm.
the Eagles. Same thing here. Obviously deep down, I probably should be rooting for the Big Ten, right? And like it looks
Mm-hmm.
good now. Hindsight, it looks good that the Big Ten won. But no, dude, I wanted Michigan to lose so badly, like almost as much as I want Ohio State to lose this year. But like I think everybody was watching this game because they wanted to see Michigan lose.
Yeah.
I think
So
like most people who watch that game outside of like, obviously millions of Michigan fans, everybody was rooting against Michigan like big time.
mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you don't have like a rooting interest, like as like a whole, like, as like a outside of those two fan bases. But these types of games, I think people watching is like, I want to see these cheaters lose.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
go 15-0. Give it 3 months. They're done. Everything's gone. Calling
you
it right
think that's
now.
what it's gonna do?
Give it 3 months, dude. Everything is gone. No national
So
title. Nothing. Gone.
So I'll explain what I mean in terms of the viewership. Okay, so and I saw this online. JJ McCarthy didn't even throw for over 200 yards. And that's kind of like college football fans,
Embarrassing.
I guess they want to chalk it up to defense. Blake Corum did great, but when I think of the viewership, of course, that outside people that'll pull people in, like that LSU team with Joe Burrow and then Justin
Yeah,
Jefferson,
because
Jamar
it was
Chase.
exciting, dude.
Exactly. And then you
It was
think of CJ
exciting.
Stroud on Ohio State, or even like Justin Fields' team with Ohio State,
But
or then
and
even
same thing
like the
with
Bama teams.
it. Like you said, yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people like
That's
this
what
game
they
was
would have
perfect because
wanted.
you had Michigan's defense, and no one cares about Michigan's offense.
Hmm.
But like everyone wanted to see Michael Penix Jr. throw for 400 yards, five
Exactly. Yeah.
touchdowns. Roma Dunes, they have like 11 catches, buck 60 and three. Like kind of what Devontae Smith did. Yeah, exactly. Good call in
Yep.
Alabama. Like this was a terrible game in terms of like what we wanted.
Yes.
And like it sucks also that Michigan won and won convincingly.
Hell yeah.
It should have been a lot worse. It could have been a
Yes.
lot worse. So it was like shout out to the Big Ten. Like
Shout out.
finally the Big Ten gets it done. And like, it's not Ohio State. It's like, okay, that's fine.
I mean, if
But
we're
right
being real,
now with that,
Steven, either way, they were going to have a team win in the Big Ten.
yeah. So shout out to the Big Ten, dude. Like it's a double win. Shout out to the Big Ten,
Regardless.
dude. Yeah. So yeah, dude, welcome to the Big Ten in Washington, right? Like,
Yeah.
good luck, dude. Good
Yeah.
luck.
My other thing with that is Michael Penix got beat the hell up. The
Bro, I
way
don't
he
his
walked off that field, you
hurting,
didn't
dude.
even see his face. He was holding
Hurting.
his ribs hurting.
That wasn't like those were normally in that situation, those were tears of sadness. Like that was tears of I might have punctured an organ inside at some point in this
Yes.
game, and I might be dying right now. Like I
Yes.
need to like. And did you see the end when he was walking up the locker, walking up the ramp, and the Michigan dude came over to like dab him up? He
Yeah.
wanted no part of that.
He
He
didn't
was
want
like,
it. He
"Dude,
almost had to like
get
lift his
out of my
towel up a
face,
little.
bro." Yeah, you had to see who it was. Like, get out of my
Yeah.
face, bro. I don't know who you are. I'm
I
not
know.
dapping you up. I need to go to the hospital ASAP.
Exactly.
If I
So
saw a report this morning that said like Michael Penix Jr. went to the hospital, how
I
did he
believe it.
not like? There's no way that he just went to like the X-ray room and an NRG Stadium and just like was checked out and released, right? Like he was like, I mean,
No.
he was banged
Bro,
up,
like
dude.
he was walking off the field
Yeah,
like
he could
this.
like the last 5 minutes of the game, he's just holding the flag, and he had one like those big like the big flak jackets on like
Yeah,
quarterbacks wear these days, and he was still getting bullied, dude.
exactly. Yeah, it like you said, welcome to the Big Ten because it's going to be like that for them
Every game,
a
dude.
hell of a lot more. But the
Every
good
game.
part about Washington going to the Big Ten, a lot of the players that end up committing to Washington should feel good because their stock is going to go up. When you play in these bigger conferences, that then allows the NFL scouts to realize, oh, they're playing against serious competition. And
And you
then
get to
vice
see
versa.
those. Yeah, you get to see the West Coast teams come out to the East Coast, and the West Coast people they get to see these teams all the time because they're out there and like I mean East Coast teams. I mean the West Coast people get to see it because of the time and
Yep.
whatnot. But like I'm not staying up at 10:30 at night like watching a UCLA Oregon game. I'm just not gonna do it. But now like
Hmm.
those teams we're gonna see them a lot more. So that's dope too.
Yeah, so for anybody wondering, USC will be playing Maryland next year. I'm pretty sure I
In
saw that. I
in
if
College Park.
I'll look it up when we get into the
So
coaching carousel,
all right,
but
so actually, I want to show what else you got? Because I want to look up UCLA schedule for next season. It is
well,
absolutely dreadful, dude. I feel so bad for this team. I don't know how this is allowed, honestly. Um,
really.
yeah, dude, it's not. It's just like it's. I don't know how this is like just with student athletes. This has to be just miserable for like everybody. Next season, listen to this. So they go, this is UCLA's schedule, right? They go first game of the season, they go at Hawaii. They come home versus Indiana. They go to LSU. Okay. They go down to Baton Rouge, come home. They come to State College. So they fly from
You play
California.
LSU and Penn State?
Yeah. So they go at Hawaii, home to Indiana, at LSU, back home for Oregon, and then they go back to State College, home from Minnesota, and then back home and then they go back to Rutgers. So they go West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, and then like starting off in Baton Rouge. That's like that just can't be like that can't be good for anybody, dude. For
No,
any of the student athletes, like to travel that much in like that
no,
short a time, dude. I know
yeah,
they're only like, but it's like I know it's only like a short trip, but like
dude, they have to go to school.
yeah, bro. They gotta go to school. They gotta fly 3,000 miles. Like, that just can't be good for everybody, man. I know like they have it and they can do it in like technology for sports medicine. They can recover quicker and whatever.
Yeah,
But like mentally, dude, that like mentally and physically, like that just that can't be good for anybody on the West
no.
Coast or the
So
East
they can
Coast. That's a thing.
no, yeah. So to confirm, well, because Maryland doesn't have it as bad, but yes, Maryland will be playing USC in College Park on October 19th.
Mm.
So what's wild is, and this is the only
Oh,
thing that's
oof.
disappointing. I promise you, if that was this year, that game would have been dumb packed to the point
Yeah.
Looney's would have had everybody because you would have
Oh
been able
yeah.
to see Caleb Williams. On the flip side, they do have to travel to Oregon in November.
Ooh.
So
But like
that's
but like but that's one of those crazy things because like even if it's like Rutgers fans, like I'm going to Oregon when next time whenever Penn State goes to Oregon, which I think is until 2027. Yeah, I'm definitely going out to Eugene for sure,
that it gives you all the excuses in the world to
for
go to
sure, dude.
those.
I'll go to Washington. I'll go to USC eventually. I'll go to UCLA. Like those are like four like whether the
Legit
team is good
places
or
to go
not, those are
to.
like four like iconic
Hell
places to
yes.
play.
Yes.
Coliseum, the Rose Bowl up in Washington, they got a great stadium and obviously Eugene, Oregon is nuts. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll definitely cross those off the bucket list at some point. But like
But
that's also great for that's dude. This the whole thing is great for everybody.
mhm.
Like I know like the travel's gonna suck for like the lesser sports as well, but like I think ultimately it's gonna be good for everybody, especially the
Yeah,
fans. And
easily. And it's something that, of course, the hotels and the airlines definitely benefit from this too, because all the alumni at these schools have the money. It's not like my schools where we're just traveling up the road. Dog, you're
out there,
traveling
dude.
across the country.
Yeah,
So that's a big thing. I want to segue this into the NFL because it's been damn near breaking news after breaking news. And if you saw Adam Schefter at all over the past 2 days, damn well my man's been on his phone. And we'll start with the recent one that actually just happened today, and it was Mike Vrabel. So Mike Vrabel
yeah.
is out, but they were saying that this essentially was going to be coming because after AJ Brown got traded, they just saw a lot of things going downhill. You can tell Derrick Henry's going to be gone because he's given two goodbye speeches. So he clearly knows he doesn't want to be there anymore. He can go somewhere else to end up potentially winning a championship. And then some are speculating that Mike Vrabel might, it's a domino effect because they haven't even said Bill Belichick is gone from New England. They're already saying Mike Vrabel might go coach New England, which I'm
What?
like, all right, you have to like slow it down because we don't even know where Mike Vrabel's going to go to start.
Yeah, like simmer down, dude.
So I'm going to go through them all, and then I want you to tell me which one do you think is the best destination. So Commanders lost. First off, Commanders clean house because there's no more Ron Rivera. We all assume they might not go with Sam Howell either, but that's debatable right now. Eric Bieniemy is still there, but we don't know what else Magic Johnson and Josh Harris want to do. The Raiders technically have their
Magic Johnson.
Yeah, I
What?
know. Yeah, and also in that whole committee, Bob Myers is going to be, for anyone that doesn't know, Bob Myers used to be a part of the Golden State Warriors
Very
throughout all of
interesting.
their regime, and now he's going to be helping with the whole recruitment search of a head coach. But one of the former GMs of the Minnesota Vikings is also helping with it. Some are speculating that that apparently might become the new GM, but they're not going to say it because they say, how often does a GM help find another GM? Which it's debatable. So that's one. The Raiders have been using the interim coach, Antonio Pierce. There's some speculation
That's gotta
that the
change.
Giants, I think he needs to become the head coach. He was good for them, but there's so many pieces revolving around that because also the Giants, they ended up having Wink Martindale resign. So some are saying that Antonio Pierce might end up wanting to become the defensive coordinator there. Hell no, just stay far away from that place because New York's not going to do well. The Chargers are another place that, of course, Mr. Harbaugh is potentially rumored there, but he's also rumored at other positions too. And then we have the Patriots, which we don't know what's going to happen there. The Panthers is another one. They've lost 23 coaches damn near at this point. regardless of the sport, like everyone's been going, and their owners getting fined for like throwing beers at Jaguars
Yeah,
fans, which I don't know how this is possible.
bro.
Then
Only in sports.
only
Dead ass. Can you imagine the CEO of your company throwing a beer at like a competitor?
no,
Like
but
you're and besides, like you'd be gone instantly, dude.
yeah,
Instantly.
you can't just do that. What?
No.
Throw a
Yeah, yeah.
beer?
Bro, he got fined like 350 grand. What?
Yes.
That's
They
nothing.
said that's like pennies for him. That's nothing. Then the Jaguars fired their defensive coordinator. I don't think that's where a lot of their problems are. I think it's bigger problems you do have because you didn't just blow the game. You blew so many games that y'all got to this point as well. I mentioned the Giants, the Falcons. That was the funniest one. The Falcons, Arthur Smith is no longer there. But if you watched anything, you saw what Arthur Smith said to Dennis Allen. Then you saw what the black coach said to Dennis Allen.
Yeah.
It
Yo, shout out to
was,
Jameis Winston, bro.
and then you have
Yeah,
Jameis Winston.
that's your boy.
That's a funny dude too, because
Yo,
Jameis
he's the
Winston,
goofiest motherfucker I've ever met in my entire life, dude. Can
it doesn't
you
matter.
what is he what is like that man is just he every time, dude. Every season he brings a new
James
element.
was like, I talked to the whole team, and the whole team said, we're good with it. And they're like, did you talk to Tyrann Matthew? We talked to the offense. And then you got Jimmy Graham defending him. And then you got other people saying, Jimmy Graham, you didn't even really catch that many passes this year. But he
Not
said,
the
I
Jimmy
did
Graham
this
though.
for, I know,
The
but I
homie.
did it for Jamal Williams. He didn't get a touchdown all year, so we had to get him a touchdown. And I admit I overruled the coach. First off, so that's essentially like the intern at a company overruling what the manager tells them to do
Only in
and
sports, dude.
says
Only in sports.
only in sports and just going to keep your job after that. And then we have the Titans. So out of all those different ones, which one would you say is the most appealing or is the best situation for a team to win
I say the Jags because that
as
division
a
is
defensive coordinator?
yeah, like to go in there, yeah, are you saying yeah, yeah, like yeah. Okay, so let's just go with the head coaching jobs. I
Okay.
would definitely say probably the Raiders.
Okay.
Because that division, while it's not up for grabs, you're not competing against like four teams, right? Like the Broncos will see, maybe. The
Mm-hmm.
Chargers, that's another one. Like, also, I will say, as much as I hate him, I do not think Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan. I
I
really
don't.
like there's like when you like associate like a coach, like rarely is a coach like associated with the school. Like Roy Williams and Duke, I mean Carolina, Krzyzewski and Duke, like he wasn't going anywhere else. Like
Mm.
Jim Harbaugh is a Michigan guy, and like he just won a
Bro,
national
there are
title. Like
groups
he's
called Michigan men. This man is
Michigan
not
men,
going
like
anywhere.
he is,
Yes.
he's that guy. He's what you see as a Michigan guy. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think it would take, I think it would take like a sanctions that type of thing, which is going to happen, or another type of scandal. So or them going 2-8 or 2-10 like multiple years in a row. So I don't think he's going anywhere. I will say the Commanders is not like the worst. Um,
No.
the new stadium area, we'll see how that goes. That's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you gotta have a feeling that Magic Johnson's gonna want to make a big splash.
Yeah.
Like with his first real move, or like hand in the move. I think he's gonna want to make a big splash. Raiders is like that division. The Chiefs aren't gonna run it forever, right? Like they're gonna start to fade eventually. You would think. So I think the Raiders, Chargers, kind of the same thing. You have talent there, but that talent's getting pretty old. Devontae
Mm-hmm.
Adams is still pretty young. Like Mike Williams, he hurts him. He's always hurt. Keenan Allen's hurt. Who's running back for the Chargers?
Eckler right now, but he
Yeah,
might leave.
whatever. Like he gets hurt, so you never know. That defense is getting old too. So with Khalil Mack, Bose is young, but like there's missing pieces than in that division. Who else is there? Titans. Derrick Henry, I see what that's going to happen. So I think the Commanders, just with Magic Johnson and that group now in there, Bob Myers, like I don't know how much he's going to have say wise, but like I'd imagine a lot. Knowing that Magic Johnson knows him very well, I'd imagine he's
Mm-hmm.
going to have a lot of input. So I think Commanders, I think they have a very high draft pick. So that's also a big thing as well. They're going to have the number 2 pick in the
Oh man.
draft.
Yep.
So who do you think they're going to get?
I feel they
Oh,
have to go
I thought you said someone's name. But regardless, they have a ton of talent on that team. Running back, tight end, receiver. They have 3 guys a receiver that are really good. They have a solid defense, get a couple pieces here and there. But they got to hit on that pick and obviously the coach, but more so the pick because that's the one on the field. But the coach, I think, is probably that's if I had to pick between the Raiders and the Commanders, I'd probably go Commanders
Okay.
somehow.
So yeah, and so of course all of this is fluid as we start to get closer to the draft, and then when we hear the coach, we'll start to end up determining what they end up liking. So that's what we'll use the whole offseason for. Mine, I'm gonna base it in a different direction, and I'm going to say because of the market, the Chargers. And I say the Chargers for the simple fact your quarterback is there in place. That's a lot of times the biggest thing you want to worry about. And then Quentin Johnston, they need to do something, like figure out what you're going to do there because y'all thought you hit on that and it doesn't look as of right now. You hit on
So
it,
wait,
it's early.
is he a rookie or going in his 3rd year?
Rookie.
He was a rookie, right?
Yeah, he was a part of
Yeah.
that nice
Ooh,
rookie class.
yeah.
And so the other thing is, you don't have that many years with Keenan Allen. I'm not trusting Mike Williams, so you don't have that many years with Keenan Allen. That defense was ass. Like it was not good this year. It was just not good. You think about all the players you had on that team, and that's what you guys came up with. Khalil Mack, first off, I remember when Steve and I first talked about it. Khalil Mack damn near had 0 or 1 sacks. And then all of a sudden he sprung up to like 5 or 6 off of one
He had
game.
6 sacks in one game,
In one
bro.
game. And then he
What the
finished in the
fuck?
top five in sacks for the season. So I think that's a marquee place that people would want to go. The other one, and we both agree on this one, the Commanders. Not because of what is on the field right now, but because you have Josh Harris, Magic Johnson, winners, and then you have Bob Myers, winner, and then you're just going to then look at who can you put in that coaching spot. Because most times they like to put the coach in there before they do the draft. Because if you do it the other way around, it's a little tougher once you have the pick and you're like, here, this is your team. You normally like to have the coach have input in that pick. What is crazy is if you look back a couple of years ago, the Commanders had the greatest coaching staff ever, like
Ever.
one of the greatest ever. All those coaches went to go get nice jobs. Now, if you can just find some way to have a similar thing happen now, that would be dope. But those are probably the two I don't really care. The Jaguars, I don't really know. To be honest, it almost looks like the Texans are about to take that division back over again. The Jaguars
Mm-hmm.
had their chance. So who knows? The Patriots, half the people don't want to play in the cold. So I'm also thinking, like, where are you going to want to play that's decent weather? But the Commanders, everyone in the area is almost dying for the Commanders to have a good season for once. One, they damn near beg you all the time to just buy tickets to their games. Two, their games are filled up with the opposing team's fans. You don't see that all the time. Yeah, you saw that the Buffalo game, which is wild to think about it when it was Buffalo against Miami. But I would say those two, and then kind of just segueing the last hot take before we get into like finance and then we get into our game picks. We're going to talk about the game of the weekend, and that probably has to go to the Lions and the Rams. What's crazy is, and I took a risk, one of the biggest risks I've taken in a long time, but the Dolphins and the Chiefs, people thought might have been great because Tyreek Hill was going back there, but it just got taken over by Matthew Stafford. And if you look at those tickets, the cheapest ticket for the game is $396.
Oh wow.
Guess what your boy did on a limb?
You bought
Before
him?
these tickets were on sale, I got the pre-sale ones because I'm trying to get season tickets next year.
Of
So I
course.
got the tickets for $290 each. And I was like, oh shit, like this is gonna be a terrible deal. Then I said, they're playing the Rams.
Yeah,
First
hell
off, you
yeah.
could sell them tickets for $600 a piece.
There you
So, so that's the
go.
only thing I'll say there. But my big thing is, which of the games before we dive into it later are you most looking forward to?
Aside from that one, um, probably Cleveland and Houston.
Okay.
I think maybe because I do trust Joe Flacco. But like, do I trust the rest of that team? You know, because they're very like inexperienced with the playoffs. I know they've been better
Yeah.
over the last handful of years before I got here, obviously, but like nonetheless, it's still the Browns. So there's still like that element of like, it's the Browns. Houston, like, can they ride this momentum? Because like no one expected this in any
Mm-hmm.
capacity. My cousin was at the Colts game the other night, last
Dang.
weekend. He said it was super dope.
Wow.
Um, but like they have very talented team. D'Amico Ryan's, shout out to D'Amico Ryan's.
Shout out.
It's in Houston. I know that place is gonna be lit, but I think that's a very interesting matchup, especially with the Browns having Joe Flacco as the quarterback.
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins Chiefs game, man, is gonna be like a lot better than people think.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have like they've had their moments this year, but they've had more moments where they haven't looked like the Chiefs than we've seen in recent years. I still am going to pick them to come out of the AFC. Ask me again after that game and after the Buffalo game, Buffalo Pittsburgh. I think
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo wins that game, but let's see how Josh Allen. Let's see what he does. Um, but I think that Dolphins Chiefs game is going to be a lot better. The weather's going to be cold, bro. It's going to be like negative degrees out there. And I know there's
Yes.
no one on that Miami team that's going to enjoy that. But I think it's going to be better than people think. Tyreek Hill, you have to think just like the way sports work, that he's going to go off, right?
He's gonna go stupid.
Like
Like,
he's going to go 15 catches, 260 and like 3 touchdowns. And it probably still won't be enough. But
mhm.
that's one of those things, like it has to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't ask for much as sports fans when our team's not playing. So like just give us Tyreek Hill having a incredible game and Tua going for like 500 and this being like a 45-42 game in the end, like overtime type of shit. And no
Mhm.
defense and both quarterbacks just throwing for 400 plus.
Easily. So I'll give my thoughts in 2 minutes. I want to throw in a couple of other things that were annoying to me in the finance world, and then we'll get back to the sports. So for starters, and I don't know, this we always talk about only in sports, but only in finance is this something that can happen because at first the SEC announced that they were going to have the Bitcoin ETF approved. Well, then Twitter came out and said, well, the SEC was hacked. How the hell does the SEC get their Twitter hacked? But that ended up happening and it wasn't actually approved. Other things are make sure to just pay attention to what's happening in airdrops world, and then also what is happening in terms of the different NFT and Bitcoin conferences and conventions that are coming up. I will dive more into that on Friday if anyone is interested in that. But the other thing I want to get back into, and it's annoying to me, so we'll keep it really quick. John Morant's out for the season.
I saw
How
that. You,
how the
you
hell
know
does that
what's you know what's
happen?
funny? I saw that, and I mean this, in a very genuine way. I saw that and I thought of you immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was like, damn, my boy. I know my boy Christmas was hurting when he saw that news.
Yeah. So I was like, season's over.
Like,
Like
yeah, yeah, bro. I mean, it was cool for a couple weeks, bro.
it
Cool
was.
for a couple weeks, but nope. Sorry, bro. Sorry, gang.
But these
Shout
are
out to the
ways,
Lakers though, getting that W last night.
shout out. But these are
Or
sometimes, of course, we know that all components of sports are not scripted. These are times when you're like, damn, so he missed 25 games. Then he came back for like six, and then he's gone for the season. A lot of that probably is maybe what he did during the offseason and like during the time his body might not have been right, or maybe he just wasn't on the LeBron James treatment and he just wasn't there. But you got to wait a whole another year. So the Grizzlies are not making the playoffs.
no,
Everything I've ever said
they're
about the Grizzlies are done. So that just gives a spot to somebody else. But talking about the playoffs, I want to go into the first game, and that's the Browns and the Texans. Who do you have in this game?
Browns.
I have
Definitely.
the Browns in this one. It was a great story for the Texans. I still believe that CJ Stroud's going to win Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I feel he might get a vote or two there for MVP,
For
but
sure.
it's going to be probably another year before that. I can see, of course, with the Houston Texans, season tickets being sold out next year for them because they know what they can do this year, but it's going to be the Browns. I just think that defense is a stud right now. Joe Flacco has
Mhm.
done it. So you really can't say anything when you have a quarterback that has done it. And it just makes me personally, it's going to be boring. But for AFC East AFC North fans, it'll then be the Browns and the Ravens in the next round, which will
We
be
can we can only hope. We can only hope.
I know. Yeah,
I
so
hope to God it is.
yeah, so that would be a dope game. To watch, if that ends up happening, of course, we have to see which some of the other games we'll talk about, but the Dolphins Chiefs.
I'm gonna go Chiefs. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I'm gonna go Chiefs.
I'm going with the Chiefs just because the Dolphins don't really beat teams that are over 500. If you look at the amount of teams that they beat over 500, it's not that many. And they gave away this game. The only thing I'm going to say, because I'll use this as a segue into the Bills Steelers game, I think I saw one of the greatest crossovers in the history of sports on what James Cook did. So I've never seen a player stop and then kept going.
Dude, we
Do
don't
you
have enough
know?
time to go into people for people to understand how insane that is. He's like
Stopped.
what, like 6'1", 205, something like
Yes.
that, give or take a couple inches or a couple pounds. That's that, like, he literally, like, he didn't like stop and start like a receiver does. He literally
No.
stopped and
Waited
then
for him to
kept going in the
fall
same
and went.
direction almost. It
Yes.
unbelievable. That was crazy. That
Yes.
was insane.
So I have the Chiefs in that game, but the Bills Steelers.
Even if TJ Watt was playing, I don't like the Steelers in this game, so I'm gonna go Bills, and TJ Watt is out, but TJ Watt led the league in sacks again, so shout out to him.
He did. Shout out. And I'm going with the team that I always choose damn near every single week,
Yeah.
the Bills. Next game, Packers Cowboys.
Eh. This I think this one might be more lopsided than the Bills Steelers, so I'm gonna go Cowboys. I think Cowboys blow them out,
I really think the Cowboys might be able to make that NFC.
or the Cowboys pull the most classic thing and lose to the Packers for no
Dog.
reason, no reason.
This, if there's ever a red carpet for a team to make it to the
Yeah,
NFC Championship, maybe the Super Bowl, it's
yeah,
right now for the Cowboys.
yeah.
Because I have the Cowboys in this game. They should steamroll the Pack. The Packers are not good, really. Respectfully, of course, all of them to put their lives on the line, but they're not that good this year. You
No.
should. Only thing you do have to pay attention to is Stephon Gilmore. I was telling people if Gilmore is out any type of weeks, the defense is done because you lost Diggs and then you would have lost Gilmore. Yeah, Bland is good, but also guessing has its thing. That's all I'm gonna say. Next one, Lions Rams.
Man, I really want to pick the Lions, but I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think
We're on the
Stafford's gonna
same
come back.
page.
I think Stafford's gonna come back and fucking tear it up, dude. I hope I love Matthew Stafford. You can't hate Matthew Stafford, right?
He hasn't done
Like,
anything
can't
wrong.
do it. I hope he comes back and throws for like 405 touchdowns and just shreds that defense. As much as I love the Lions, which how can you not?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Rams.
That's funny because I thought I was choosing a underdog pick on this one because I'm going with the Rams. Two things. I feel so bad for Jared Goff if the Rams win because Jared Goff just can't catch up.
Nope.
The other thing is Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are nice.
Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua. I love, if anyone has not watched it, go on Twitter. That's a dope ass story with how he ended up like getting drafted, how they just felt and knew that he was going to be the one for that scheme that they run there. Other thing is, yes, the Lions are really good at run defense, but they have not played Kyren Williams. And Kyren Williams is a different beast that is back there. So
he might not say it like this, but Stafford wants to, like, he
wants to delete the team off the planet. Like, he wants to get back at them. Although he didn't do anything wrong. Like, he got traded in the Super Bowl. But it's one of those of you go back to where you did things. You want to be like, look where I am now. Final one, Eagles Bucks.
Damn, your boys went from the number 1 seed to going to Tampa.
Bro, did you see his finger?
Did you see? Bro, your boys went from the number 1 seed
10-1
to going to fucking Tampa to play. What's his nuts? Baker Mayfield. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I think they're the better team. I think they'll win this. Didn't this happen their Super Bowl year too, right? Yeah. So certain things happen, but I'm gonna go with the Eagles in this one. Tampa, just whatever. They might be the worst team in the playoffs.
They just barely beat the Panthers.
Yeah, they might. The Eagles the Packers, and then like the Steelers might be the worst teams in the playoffs.
Yeah. I have the Eagles in this one. The Eagles are going to lose whoever they play after this, but they're going to win this one. I promise you. You just can't lose to a team that had 3 field goals against the Panthers. Come on, man.
Uh-uh.
So, what you got?
Um, shout out to Penn State football. We
Shout out.
got two big time signees from the transfer portal. Got Julian Fleming, Ohio State wide receiver. He was behind Emeka Buka, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, all those guys. So
Yeah,
he knows a thing or two. So shout out to him. And
shout
then
out.
shout out to we got a former 5-star offensive lineman from Wisconsin, Nolan Rucci, Penn State guy. So kind of helped a little bit of this and that. So, off season, transfer
Yeah,
portal, NIL. Shout out to
shout
Penn State
out.
football though, as always.
So I'm gonna leave you guys with a funny story, and I'll make it 30 seconds. I had an interview last week. I think it was on Thursday. So 25 minutes into the interview, finished my presentation I was doing for them, and then I asked them the question of, "So what is the work culture like?" This is the director about to respond. The director starts to open his mouth, and my computer restarts. It turns off. Well, that's
That's not that is the least surprising thing I have ever heard you say. Because that is so Christian. That is the most like I not surprising the least bit.
it restarted. And
Uh
then when I turned the computer back on and I apologized to the manager, he was like, "No worries. We'll reach out to you if we need anything." So on that note, you know who did not get the job?